Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, and we talk about innovation, education with our superintendent friends, and we have a little fun along the way. Now I have Superintendent of the Year here with me, H.T. Sanchez from Plainview ISD. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So how are you enjoying midwinter so far? Feeling like it's been worthwhile to be here and see some of your colleagues, look at some sessions?
Oh, this is an absolute success to see all of the people back out visiting with each other. And, you know, after doing this virtually, which I understand it was kind of to fill the gap, but it's great to be back in person.
There's no question. There's nothing like being with your friends, your buddies, and talking school and having some fun and just really checking in on everybody, see how they're doing over the throughout the pandemic and stuff. Everybody's having to deal with their own situations in their school districts. So this is the first time you and I have got a chance to meet. So talk to me. How did you get into education, and how did you get to be a superintendent? When did you know, like, all right, I'm going to spend my life, my career serving kids?
Well, you know, coming in to public education, I was one of those kids where language was a challenge for me. And back when I was in school, bilingual education wasn't a big thing.
Right.
And so if you didn't speak the language, they kind of put you in a little room and left you there. And it was probably around my middle school years that a teacher found me and said, "Man, you're in the wrong place. You can do some special things." And a teacher changed my life.
Wow.
And it was at that point that I thought, you know what, I got to play that work forward. And her name is Pat Moore. She passed here recently, but man, I've dedicated my whole career to play it forward like she did for me and for many others.
So you matriculate through the system, and when did you know you wanted to be an educator? Do you remember a moment it's like, all right, this is my purpose?
Yeah, so it actually wasn't in college. It was my senior year in high school.
Really?
That same teacher, Pat Moore, she was going to take a trip to England to go visit her brother, and she was an English teacher. And of course, that was the subject I struggled with, and she was the one that rescued me, that kind of pulled me out from that small room. And when the principal was looking for a long-term sub, he asked her, "Well, do you know of anyone that could come in and be a long-term sub and fill in while you're in England?" She goes, "Oh yeah, H.T. Sanchez." And says, "Well, who's that?" "Well, you know, he's one of my senior English students." And so the principal kind of laughed at it, but then he went with the idea. And so my senior year, I taught senior English for the second semester while my teacher was on her way to England.
As a high school student?
As a high school student. So, yeah.
I have never heard a story like that before. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, the sub just kind of sat in the room with his boots up on the table, and I taught the class. And so
how did you do?
You know what? I would give myself as a first-year teacher probably a C-, but you know, the kids thought it was my peers thought it was pretty cool that I was in there teaching with them. But I did get the highest grade, you know, that semester in the class.
No kidding.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it was at that point that, you know, just preparing the lessons and you know, just the love of literature and the love of talking to a class full of people about stuff that I was really interested in and trying to get them as interested in it as I was. Man, I was like, this is for me. This is what I want to do.
That is an unbelievable story. That gives new meaning to, you know, when you get a little frustrated. The kids, would you like to teach a class? So I guess they couldn't have said that to you, right?
Right. No. Do you want to teach a class? Heck yeah. So it was good stuff.
Did the other teachers, because now you got me interested, like the other teachers know you were teaching? The other English teachers, they knew you were teaching the class?
Oh, yeah. No, they knew I was teaching the class and everything. And they taught me how to run the copy machine and all of that good stuff. So they're like, oh, well, this is how you enter the copy code and all. So, I mean, it was really neat.
Well, our show's about innovation, so I think that may be one that takes the cake, because you know what? And kudos to the principal for saying, you know what? Hey, let's see if this works. And here you are as a superintendent from that experience. That is crazy. So obviously you've had mentors along the way and teachers to guide you and give you a little nudge. How did you make the transition to be an administrator or in leadership?
Well, you know, there was a outstanding principal. His name is Steve Brown, and he's now on the school board in Ector County ISD in Odessa. and Steve Brown was looking for people to join the site-based committee, and he said, you know what, I think you should be on the site-based committee. And so he kind of picked me out of the teaching faculty as a second-year teacher and got me involved on the site-based committee. And every opportunity there was for leadership, Steve would always tap me on the shoulder and ask me if I was interested in it. And when opportunity presents itself, you always have to say yes. And so, Dr. Brown is a person that I've looked at as a mentor through my career, and he's been there. He hired me as a teacher, and then later on, he helped me get into the assistant superintendent role back in Ector County. When he was an assistant superintendent, he said, hey, I know a guy, he's in Tyler, and he's a good guy. And so he helped me throughout my career. And again, just another one of those people like Pat Moore that you look back and you go, if it wasn't for Pat Moore, I never would have been in education or a teacher. And if it wasn't for Steve Brown, I wouldn't be an administrator.
We all have stories like that of teachers that pushed us and made sure that we were cared for and mentored. And it's unbelievable because, a lot of times there's this misinformation about public education. But whether you're a teacher or a superintendent or any other field, like that all came from someone, usually a teacher,
right,
taking an interest, or you found your passion because a teacher was passionate about what they did. And I think sometimes we forget that you've got to share that story because that's a heck of a story, and those are the types of stories that sometimes our communities and our politicians need to be reminded of. There's a reason that teachers are the innovators that they are, because they drive everything else. They drive all the passion for all of our kids. Now, talk to us about Plainview ISD. Give me some details and
Sure.
and maybe some cool things that are happening right now in Plainview.
Well, the first thing I always have to explain to people is where Plainview is. And so I always tell them we're almost exactly between Amarillo and Lubbock.
Okay.
And so we're right there in the middle. We're a 5A district. Our high school has about 1,500 students, and in total we're about 5,000 students total enrollment. But we're the perfect size to where I know all our teachers by name, all our administrators. I get to hang out with the students, and they know who I am, I know who they are. And it's a really neat district because it's big enough to where we offer everything, but small enough to where you know everyone.
Right.
And that's a great place. Some of the real cool and innovative stuff that we're doing is, our goal is for every student who graduates, they're either going to have an industry-based certification, and our welding program is top-notch. We're really building our CNA program, and we have kids that are national champions in Microsoft Office competition.
Nice.
And then we launched our early college high school, where we just basically threw the doors open and said, if you want to go to college, we're going to tutor you, we're going to support you, we're going to help you, we're going to get you there. So no barriers. And we're getting into our second year of that. So our goal is, when you graduate from Plainview High School, in Plainview ISD, you're either going to have an industry-based certification or 60 transferable college hours,
right,
which means you're employable instantly upon graduation.
And less debt if you go to your four-year university, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's one of the things I think probably we need to do a little bit better job of as a system, is explaining that piece to kids and parents. How much debt might you incur? Because not everybody's going to go and be able to pay all of college at
right,
one time, in cash. And the balance between, I really enjoy this and this is going to be a great living, or I can go to college and still do this and have some different levels of debt coming out. And I think there's arguments for both, but I think our parents need to have all the options. And tell me if this is your experience. It's been my experience that sometimes when we talk about career and tech and industry certifications, there's a little bit of a mindset that we think of it as when we were in school, right? So as in shop class, or it's for those kids, right, that aren't going to go to college. Where as well as I do, like, man, those industry certification tests are very, very challenging. I would say often more challenging than the AP test, SAT, and the skill set required is remarkable. And therefore, companies are willing to pay very, very well for kids to come out and go to work immediately. And I think our parents, we need to shift. It's not, hey, you have to go to college or you have to do this, or it's one track for a kid. It's these are the options.
Right.
Weigh your options, weigh your passion, and if industry certification is what you want to do, let us show you really what that looks like.
Oh, no, exactly. I mean, you're spot on. CT of today is not Votech of yesterday
You got it.
because the kids that are taking, I'll use two classes, welding, for example.
Mhm.
The kids are taking the same certification examinations that 30-year-old guy is doing to renew his certification
Right.
or to make more money in either industry, the oil field, or whatever industry where welding is required. So our kids are taking tests that adults are taking and passing them, and they have to show the skill. They have to be able to do the job. They have to apply the mathematics, the geometry, the measurement, because it is measure twice, cut once. Steel doesn't stretch. So, I mean, our kids are applying everything they learn in mathematics, in CTE, getting these certifications. I mean, our CT program over the last 3 years, we've seen 1,000% increase in kids getting
Wow.
certification because we made parents aware of, man, this isn't Votech. This is real deal. You can graduate, and that high school diploma and this certification is the shortest distance between a high school diploma and a livable wage.
That's talking about our industry and our industry partners. I think we've done a decent job as schools to try to bring in our industry partners, but I do think we've got to figure out a way to kind of connect with them even more, right? Allowing them kind of some insight and to give us some feedback on curriculum, and encouraging them to show kids what it looks like in the field. So auto tech, I know when I was in school, auto tech was you're changing tires, doing some spark plugs, and you go into auto tech today, everything is digital. Everything runs off a system. I can't imagine, all the advancements with the electric cars, and it's amazing. But we don't know what that is because, I've never seen it that way.
Right.
And so how do we get our industry partners to say, look, open up the doors, like, this is what it is, guys. It's no longer this, and it's fun, it's exciting, it's engaging, and it's a great opportunity for a kid.
Well, we're building our cybersecurity program. We're in our first year of our intro, getting kids, aware of what cybersecurity all is. But as we get to those upper level courses where you get the certification, we have to connect with companies that do cybersecurity,
Right.
so our kids understand what they're up against. Because right now they're like, thinking it's some James Bond stuff or
Yeah.
stuff they've seen on the TV.
Yeah, they're hacking. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
they're hacking the Russians or whatever. So, there's an excitement around it, but you also have to roll the practicality in.
Yeah.
And so you take the excitement that the kids bring, you play up on, what's out in popular media, what really interests the kids, and then you bring in the folks from cybersecurity and they get to meet these people. They get to hear their stories. They get to see what the work's like. And when we make that connection, exactly what you said is spot on. They advise the curriculum so that we graduate people that they want to hire. I mean, what better way of making those connections to say, you're going to come in, you're going to learn what you need to, you're going to meet these people from these cybersecurity firms, and if you're good, and if you really latch onto this, then they'll probably have a job for you. And
Oh, no question.
that sells.
I mean, would you agree with the sentiment that businesses are more interested in your skill set rather than the thought that you have to have a college degree to be employable? I don't think that holds water. I think industry is way more interested in can you do this? Are you coachable? Are you trainable? Can you communicate, and are you willing to really put the time in? I feel like they're going to hire whomever has those traits rather than, this is kind of the barrier or the must-have to even fill out the application.
Right. Well, if you think about a college education in the past, the knowledge that you acquired had a 10, 15, 20-year shelf life, right?
Right.
And the college education you acquire today has less than a 5-year shelf life on average.
Great point.
And so it's not so much about can you learn knowledge that is going to be good for the next 15 or 20 years. The question is, are you someone who can learn, period?
Yeah.
Are you teachable? Are you coachable? Do you show up and work? Do you have the right attitude? And that's what we have to do in public education. We have to continue to graduate kids that are those continuous learners so that industry understands that the commodity isn't something that is a fact that you can look up on Google. The commodity is someone who's a learner, someone who's that lifelong learner who pursues knowledge. That's the commodity. And in education, if we're going to stay relevant, we have to graduate kids that have that, because anyone can look anything up on Google or whatever. I mean, those things aren't as powerful anymore.
That's right. Information is easily attainable now. It's what can you do with the information to make it a better product or an innovation. So Superintendent of the Year, what was your reaction when you found out?
It was a shock, when we were given directions at the Texas Association of School Boards conference when they were announcing the Superintendent of the Year. I was just paying attention to, if you didn't get it, where you went. And I wasn't paying attention to, if you get it, here's where you go. So when they announced it was me, I didn't know which podium I needed to walk to, if I needed to shake someone's hand. So I looked foolish out there. My wife told me, you played it off all right, but I could tell you were lost. But it was a blessing, and it was a surprise. And I just, it just leaves you speechless.
That's funny. Yeah, no, we always, when we have those type of situations, we're always like, you kind of prepare yourself for the worst case scenario. So like, all right, I don't want to get too excited about it. That's hilarious. So you played it off and kind of zigzagged through there.
I zigzagged around, and the lady who was emceeing up front was kind of like behind the podium pointing, no, you go over there. And so I owe her a lot. Yeah, she saved me, and I was just glad I didn't trip or fall or something else.
That's funny. Let's talk about a little bit about your personal life. I'm always interested where people attended college. I'm a Bearcat, eat 'em up cat. Where did you go to school?
Well, bachelor's was ASU, master's was Sul Ross, and my doctorate was A&M Commerce. And
so why'd you choose A&M Commerce?
Well, I looked around and I found that Texas A&M Commerce had a stellar reputation for being a school that prepared leaders. I mean, Commissioner of Education at the time I was looking is Dr. Mike Moses, A&M Commerce graduate. I mean, here he is leading education. Then later on he goes and he takes on Dallas ISD. And so when I look at Texas A&M University in Commerce, man, that is a school that develops school leaders.
Now, what specifically about the program? Because I loved my experience at Sam Houston State. Obviously, I championed their work because I just thoroughly enjoyed it and I felt like it thoroughly prepared me. You obviously feel the same about A&M Commerce. What are the specifics? How did you matriculate to the program? Are there things there that you got that maybe some of our colleagues haven't been privy to or haven't had the experiences?
I'll tell you, the professors that I had at A&M Commerce and the ones that are there that I've had the opportunity to meet, they are expert practitioners. I mean, you have someone who, they've read the books, they got the degree and all of that, but I mean, these are people that have led their districts, led their departments, know their discipline, and they impart that knowledge in such a personal way. They make the connection between what they learned, what their experiences were, and the types of challenges that you're going to face, the types of hurdles you'll need to overcome. And they care, and it's very personal. And I think that that's the difference. You can sign up for any university, but if you don't sign up for a university where people are practitioner experts in the field, I mean, you can read the book yourself.
Yeah, it's not quite like being in the seat, though. Reading the book and being in the seat, those are two very different components. So I would thoroughly agree. It's great to learn from people that are doing it and have done it. Right, and can guide you in that way. So that's awesome. We have school districts, right? They're always looking for partnerships in terms of growing their leadership academy. Is A&M Commerce something you may have? Maybe there's a cohort in the midst, or an opportunity to develop cohorts. Is that something you would look forward to?
No, it definitely is, and I've had some conversations with some of the people in their leadership about opportunities they provide for districts that have people that are aspiring leaders and that want to be a lion. And there's a difference between being a graduate student who finishes at A&M Commerce and is a lion, and what they bring to the table from what I've seen, from what I've experienced. And I know I'm biased because I graduated from there, but I take a look at my journey to Superintendent of the Year.
Yeah.
It started with the doctoral work and the superintendent classes that I took at A&M Commerce. So I have to definitely lift up my university because it lifted me up.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, young leaders out there need to know there are doctorate programs that are decent and okay, and then there are others that are going to prepare you for your journey. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, before we go, I mean, it was great meeting you, and man, I can see why you won the award. I love your perspective, particularly on career in tech. That's my passion, right? I love programming. I love building things for kids, and I think that's where we got to continue to go as schools. But anybody you want to shout out, or anything you want to get out there for the district, for yourself, anything?
No, I just want to, I do have to acknowledge my wife. You know, she's
You
moved,
better do that, yeah.
Yeah, I better now. She's moved with me from, we started off in Texas, ended up in Arizona, came back to Texas, and without her, man, I wouldn't be anywhere. And so I do have to shout out Mary Sanchez and continue to encourage her finish that dissertation. So.
Well, it is definitely hard. It's a family journey, right?
Yes.
You know, I've got 3 kids. I've got my wife. We've had to move for a superintendency and move again.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're on the ride with you, right? And
They
so to be
are.
able to say, I'm serving kids, and so I understand, and keep her happy. Do what you need to do. Make sure, bring her something back from Austin.
Exactly.
But great to have you. And you know what? As you get some things rocking and rolling up there, maybe we can come up and on site. And I would love to have our next evolution was to have kids talk about the program.
Oh man, that
You
would
know?
be great. That would be great. They are the best advocates for what it is
Absolutely.
that they do.
And that was always the plan, is to turn over the show to the kids.
Yeah.
So when we had the podcast in my former district, I want them to lead this, run this, because those are the ones that say, don't listen to me, listen to the kids.
Right.
Tell you what the story is, because they're the ones that live it every day.
Yes, sir.
So look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for joining us. And hey, we're gonna come out to Plainview, and I know exactly where it is.
Oh,
We'll
good
drive
deal.
that way. We might wait till it gets a little warmer, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll drive that way and spend some time with you guys. So thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity.
You got it.